So I follow the signs to the end of the road. Don't let the rain make you lose control. And don't be afraid when it's time to go. Just follow your signs to the end of your road.
Introducing the new look of Paramusic TV. Got some goodies over the holidays, and I want to thank my wife Rebecca for helping me out with this. This helps me do so much more. So now I'm going to revisit some of the episodes of Ghosts in My House. This makes it much easier to clear some things up that I couldn't in the previous method I was using. These are the first 3 episodes of Ghosts in My House. I will also talk about some of the things that have happened since then to give you a broader picture of what exactly happens here. I see, I wouldn't exactly call it a shadow figure, although it is dark. I'm sitting at this couch where I normally sit watching TV. This is the view I have. And quite frequently, even my wife saw it very clearly probably about a month ago. She saw it full on, and where you see that window, she saw a shadow figure go across. I saw it too, but this door was closed like this, and what I saw, you can see the light peeking through. Well, I saw that get all disturbed. I was going to disregard it, but my wife, she saw it go all the way across the window, and she actually got up and went and looked around because she was kind of taken aback, because where that window is, I'll show you, that's actually, if a person was to walk across the window from that view, they would have to be about 9 to 10 feet tall. If I was to walk out that window, I would drop about 6, 7 feet. That goes into the patio area. You can kind of see it. It couldn't have been a person just walking across randomly, because you wouldn't be able to see them unless they were Sasquatch. I'm going to turn on the digital recorder. The K2 meter and the digital recorder are side by side. Just light up one of those devices. You could, I've had success with this before, if you want to say something on the digital recorder, light the K2 meter at the same time. I think it'll give any false readings. Let me make sure on that. Doesn't seem to be. Now, my hand feels colder here, but it may be because of the window. Okay, there was a K2 hit just then. And it'll be interesting to see, that's my dog. And it'll be interesting to see, that's my dog. And it'll be interesting to see, that's my dog, if we got a voice. Here we go again. Okay, that's twice now. The K2 meter's gone off. And there was a knock. Now the K2 meter's gone off. And there was a knock. Now the K2 meter's gone off. And there was a knock. I don't know if you heard that from the corner of my office here. Right behind my dog, and she heard it too. Is this Patrick? So was that you that I just heard in the corner of my office here? Give me a really big light. Give me a really big light. Give me a really big light. Now I'm going to try something else. Or I'm still getting K2 hits. I'm going to try something here with this light. Okay, it just went off. You remember our code, once for yes, twice for no? I don't mind if you say things on the... Okay, now my camera just shut off for absolutely no reason. Did you do that? So, to clarify a couple of things. The name Patrick comes from EVP sessions that I've held here before in this office. I think he's always here, or at least most of the time he's doing whatever he does in here. The figure that I talked about has been spotted by several family members, and it's always tall, and I have a feeling that in life Patrick was a fairly tall person. I haven't gotten a lot of information past that. You know, the TV, when I was showing that originally, I didn't really show where the TV was, but when you see the living room where I'm doing the recording at, it's just out of view of the camera. So when I see these things, it's almost always out of the corner of my eye. Literally after that point, I did not get any more evidence. Part of what I've heard this be called, and I've adopted the term myself, is the paranormal wave, where you get this peak of activity and then it just stops cold. And probably not much is going to happen for a little while until things kind of, it is a wave. It revs up and has peaks and valleys. So the next video is something that had happened the night before that has happened other times in the course of the year, which I explain. This is one of my favorites, and it's one of the first times that I captured what I believe to be a possible apparition starting to appear but doesn't quite make it. I've looked at this over and over again, and because I was looking at that spot roughly in that moment, and I did not see any other shadow. I didn't see anything that made me suspect anything was there. No shadow play, no anything like that. It just appears and disappears. Last night we had something happen that's happened before about, I think, 2 other times. And it involves my dog. 3 times now over the course of the year, sitting at this couch, I got my equipment setting on, our dog Zelda will look up in the corner where that lamp is. Anyway, up in that corner, she'll stare at something for a second or two, and she'll slink off the couch like she's afraid. Now, she's a pit bull, very sweet, gentle animal most of the time, but very protective and isn't afraid of anything. That's a story in itself, which I may get into someday. But for the most part, she's not afraid of anything. However, 3 times now over the course of the year, and you can't see there's no bug, you can't see anything there, but she'll stare at it, and her ears will go back, her tail between her legs, and she'll slink off the couch and go into the office, which is where her other bed is. The couch and go into the office, which is where her other bed is. The couch and go into the office. But she likes to, of course, sit on the couch with us when we're watching TV. Well, this happened last night. So I thought I'd strike as the iron was hot and see if there's something actually there that manifests that we can't see with our own eyes, what the deal is. But something happens there. Can you set off either the REM pod or the K2 meter so I'll know, rather than have to look later to see if I get an EVP? Although the digital recorder is there, you can leave a message, but I'd like some kind of verification that you're there. Is there something that manifests in that corner? Please use one of the REM pod or the K2 meter to answer that. I need to know if somebody's there. Is somebody hearing me? Now, as I've said before, not a lot happens in the living room most of the time. There's been a few isolated incidents of what I would call poltergeist activity. One time on that shelf, we did have a picture that's in the office now. It jumped off that shelf and landed in the middle of the room, and at that time we had some other family members staying with us, and well, I think we all about jumped out of our skin, and it was right over my sister's shoulder, so she saw most of it happen, although it was still out of the corner of her eye. But the way it happened, it could not have just vibrated off and fallen down. It had it made some air. Also had a coffee cup do that once, not too far from that same area of time, maybe a few weeks. A few weeks. A few weeks. Over here where that door is, there's a hall. There's also, my daughter saw it once, and I've seen it several times. Something come out and go into the office. That happens fairly frequently. Where you see all that stuff right now is where I normally sit watching TV. It's the corner of this sectional. I see images out of the corner of my eye all the time. Gotten to where I don't really even, I know they're there, I see them, but I just don't react to it like I used to, because it's just so common. Other people have experienced that. After my memory card ran out, I turned on the spirit box, and all of these EVPs that you're about to hear, there's no editing except where I've repeated the audio intentionally. I didn't in every case because I can't understand them. If you can, let me know. Not only the EVPs, but there was also response back and forth between EVPs and the spirit box. And I try to signify when that's going on, but I want you to keep that in mind. And there will be one or two where I thought they were saying one thing, but as I've studied them closer, I believe they were saying something else. No, I just want to communicate. I'm not trying to get you to leave. As long as you don't do anything harmful, I don't care if you're here. I know Patrick's in the office most of the time. The woman, I don't know her name, but I saw in my dream, and I know, yes, it was a dream. I didn't actually see the apparition, but if you only knew how real and vivid that dream was. On that dining room table that I did my experiment on the other day. As it always, Zelda sees whatever it is in that corner. It's always that same area. The woman, Patrick, and what I think is named Jacob, I think those are the main entities in this house. But I've also had others come up that I think might be tied to the land. Alright, I'm turning on the spirit box, setting it next to the visual recorder. Is there somebody there? What is your name? Okay, I think I got something there. I couldn't quite understand it. What does Zelda see up by this lamp? Do you like Zelda? Do you like Zelda? Who was that? Can you tell me your name? Are you the one she sees? This last video came as a result of me seeing something about an hour prior to filming this. When I was talking to my father in our dining room, we had just happened to be talking about some of the paranormal things that had happened up to that point, and as I was talking to him, on the wall behind him, and I could see the window shines through, casting light, of course, on that wall, and anybody who walks through, you would see their shadow. I saw 3 shadows in a row. I saw the first one, turned to look at the window, which somebody should have been walking there, but there was nothing. And at first, of course, I thought maybe I had just seen some other kind of shadow. So I started to disregard that, and I continued talking to my father. Saw 2 more shadows walking back to back. They weren't as tall as the first one. They weren't real defined shadows as I look back on it. But each time I looked to see who would be walking up the deck, there would be nothing there, and I could not find a source for it. So immediately I went and got my camera and did all the things to get it ready and started filming this next video. I'm doing another impromptu session because about an hour ago had a very strange thing happen. It's hard to see it now because it's cloudy outside. There's a few things that happen that I've been meaning to talk about, but right here the sun was shining a lot more intensely, and I was talking to my father. He was sitting here in the dining room, and we were talking about some of the stuff that happens around here. And as we were talking, I saw a shadow walk across. I mean, it wasn't a distinct human shape in the sense of I didn't really see head, shoulders, but it was a mass, and when it was walking across, I could still see what I would call arm swing, like a person walking. I thought somebody was walking up to the door. I turned around, didn't see anything, turned back around and saw 2 more figures walk back to back in that same manner. And again, I turned around and there was nothing. This is my railing that comes up to the front, what we use as the front door. But each time I looked, there'd be nothing there. And that's happened to me before in a different sort of way. It was reflected on that corner hutch. Looked as solid as any person. But again, as soon as I saw that walk across, I turned my head and there's nothing there. If you could see this better in real life, rather than the camera, you'd understand what I mean. But it was this same type of thing. Now I've got the spirit box. I think it just gave me a response of some sort. I'll have to go back and listen to that later. Is anybody with me right now? That's, I guess, what is going to be hard for me to convey is how a shadow is cast from that window. Because to see what I saw, it seems like to me something had to be on that deck. I didn't see like a head and shoulders, but I saw probably what would be, where the head and shoulders would be, a top to it. But I thought it was people each time. Who's with me? Jacob, are you here? How old you are, Jacob? Sounded either young or female. So why are you here, Jacob? What is it you want? And just like most of the other sessions that I do, that seemed to be the peak, and then I stopped getting responses, so then I usually end the session. Now the figure that I talked about seeing that walked across the deck, it literally looks like someone wearing a black hoodie. No, I'm not talking a cape or a cowl, like say in the picture behind me. It looks like a modern day hoodie, black, and someone that's got their head down walking with their hands in their pocket. It's been cited by other members of the family. I've seen it maybe 4 or 5 times, but the one time I saw it the clearest was in that hutch. The other times has been a movement at the corner of my eye, but I still see the hoodie looking outfit is the best way I can describe it. There's been a couple of, I would say, new sounds that I've heard that are, it's similar to some things I've heard before, but a few weeks ago, twice, over about I think it was a couple of days apart, I was in the kitchen, and behind me it sounded like something fell out of the cabinet, like somebody had maybe knocked down some bags, to the point that I braced myself. I almost felt like something was going to hit me, but I turned around and the door wasn't open to the cabinet, like nothing was there. And that happened twice, and it scared the bejesus out of me both times. That was a few weeks ago. Every night at some point I hear footsteps all the time. Sometimes it sounds like somebody's walking out of the hall, but you turn to look and nothing's there. As far as my dog Zelda, the thing that I showed in the second video has happened a couple of other times. But there's also other points when Zelda seems to react to something. She jumps and looks around, but you can't see anything near her, and she'll look around for a second and lay back down. I will be doing some more of these coming up, where I revamp my older videos to be a little bit more easy to follow, and it just looks better. Like and subscribe. I would absolutely appreciate that more than you'd know.